What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone is having a great night. Another late night show with my main man, the StuCast, the pride and joy of the MAC conference. Gotta love it. Stu, you're like the United Nations, I would say, of like the amount of like different apparel you bring on. It's so diverse.
Well, I'm a connoisseur of great football.
Love it.
And the Maction is phenomenal football. I mean, any conference where you can tune into a game and expect a negative yardage punt, I'm in. Some weird things happen. Horrible play calling, fumbles, bad picks, negative punts. Like, amazing stuff happens on Tuesday Night Maction. And it's phenomenal. It's more fun to watch than 95% of the ACC games.
Hey, I think we got into a little bit before the show. You don't like ACC football. I actually agree. I think it is kind of boring to a certain extent. I mean, Clemson just beating everyone. Big Ten football, not my style. I think it's Ohio State and everyone else.
I think it's one of those things you have to grow up in the Midwest to really appreciate. It's just not fun to watch. Objectively, it's not fun to watch. I mean, the Big Ten has not done a good job of like reacting to the curve of where college football is going. Like, we still, like, as recently as a couple of years ago, multiple teams were like, hey, let's ground and pound 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Like, doesn't work. It's great if you're playing football in 1987. Not great if you're playing in 2007 or 2017. It just doesn't work that way.
All right, Stu, let's get into it. Last time you were on the show with me, Manny Diaz was not taking over the play calling duties. What are your thoughts about this?
So what's the scoop on this, Paul? See what I did there? What is his role going to be? Like, is he a dude that's like working with Baker and he's just going to call out the plays? Like, what are we doing?
So Manny Diaz, when it's game day, when Miami is playing whoever, North Carolina, Louisiana Tech, whoever it is, NC State, Manny Diaz will be calling the plays on game day. Now, getting ready for the game that week, preparing for the opponent, Blake Baker will be associated with the game plan. But on game day, Manny Diaz is calling the plays. He has the final word as defensive coordinator.
You know, shout out to stickers by ab.com. I'm not going to swear because I want to keep them, but that sounds like a cluster. That sounds like an absolute cluster. Like, yeah, Burnett's right. I mean, that's just a bad mix. I want my head coaches to call the entire game, watch the entire game. That's why you hire coordinators. If you don't think Blake is doing a great job at calling the defense, then why don't you just fire him? But I know they buddies, so like whatever. I think that's a really bad idea. And when you start watching their film from last year, like it's really weird. Like the defense does shine through. Like there's some talent there, but you see a lot of dudes out of position. You see linebackers just running into dudes, creating giant holes, corners that just aren't even angled in, aren't reading the plays right. I mean, it was a top to bottom deal, like the D-line, linebackers, secondary, and that's Blake's purview, right? I don't think Manny stepping in is going to help much. You're going to get – it does sound cheap. It sounds really cheap, but it does – it tells me – that's a great call. It does tell me, like – I think what you're going to get out of this defense, whether you get, Stevenson, who I'm sure we'll talk about, and T-Rod coming in, and yes, you've increased some components to the defense, but I think you'll get about the same as you got this year. I don't see like a huge new ceiling that Miami can attain for next season. You're going to get about what you saw last year. You guys are going to beat up on poor teams. The defense is going to look average against okay teams, and it's going to get gashed against good offenses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Eric T. Smith Sr. says Miami can beat Alabama. Look, I think anyone can beat anyone on any given day. I truly do. But right now, Miami beating Alabama, if I'm betting, I don't take Miami's side. I don't know what the spread is, so maybe it works out on Miami's favor. I just think Alabama is going to take care of business. Bill O'Brien is their offensive coordinator, Stu. Is that confirmed?
Yeah, it's confirmed.
How do you feel about Bill O'Brien taking over the offensive call playing duties?
There was other guys in the mix that they talked to that I would be more excited about. I think Bill O'Brien is a good Greg Olson retired today. Shout out to him. Bill O'Brien's a good offensive coordinator. You got to remember, in college at his time at Penn State, he made that team coming off the Sandusky scandal. He made that team like just hum. Like McSorley was decent. He got McSorley drafted. So I think there's a talent there. There's a mind there. It's a lukewarm hire. I think it's not bad, not good, just average for me. But Alabama's got so many things that, yes, they got to replace the quarterback, the running back, whatever, Devonta Smith. And yes, there's going to be a drop down, but you're replacing them with 5 stars. You're replacing them with the number 1 QB last year. You're replacing them with the number 1 running back last year, Trey Sanders. You still have a bunch of kids that are freshmen that are going to show up in this wide receiver core. I mean, they are stocked. My concern is that you've seen their special teams coach leave, their offensive line coach leave, the running backs coach and assistant coach leave.
They hired UNC's running back coach, I believe.
It's pop. Yeah, I haven't seen that news, but they have a lot of pieces, and you have a lot of new schemes. And Coach Saban has brought that up about. It's been brought up that, hey, look, we have to have some kind of continuity and what have you to, move forward. And I don't get what, Eric, you're getting at. Missouri, no, not really. Ole Miss and Florida, yes, but there's reasons for that. I think Alabama going forward, you're going to get them at the point you want them. First game, new schemes, new concepts.
Right.
You got a lot of guys that didn't really get much playing time this past season.
Yeah, I think
this is your shot. This is your shot. Derek's got to be healthy, though.
I do believe majority of SEC opponents, when they see Alabama, they say, hey, we're probably not going to win that game. I do believe that. I think majority of Miami fans believe that. We'll see. Stu, like you said, it's first game of the year, new offensive coordinator, new
everything.
Yeah.
I'm still hearing that.
To get Alabama. It is the best time. The problem with Miami is we still don't know about De'Ara King if he'll be ready to go if he'll be starting. We got a whole spring to take care of. Okay. It's a long time from now. So we'll see what happens. And we haven't seen Bryce Young one bit. But I'll tell you what, I loved him in high school.
He stepped in some garbage time a few times. Like
nothing crazy.
He's a little hesitant. He didn't look like he was ready yet, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, he's a freshman that got about 10 pass attempts this season. It's hard to really say anything about him.
Mac Jones, their starting quarterback this past season? He was getting mop-up duty the past couple years, and boom. He was going to contend this season. He wasn't supposed to play last year. Right.
And he lost. That team lost to Auburn, struggled to come back and beat Michigan. Like, yeah, I mean, guys progress, guys move on. It's a moot point if the Air King's not ready to play. Bottom line. And I don't care if Jake Garcia is the next Jeff Garcia. I don't care. Like, you have to have the Air King in there. And yeah, is Nkosi even coming back?
So he entered his name in the transfer portal, withdrew his name, and he has like 3 classes to graduate. So a lot of people, for example, Manny Navarro from The Athletic stated, it is to believe Nkosi Perry will take his 3 classes, graduate, and re-enter his name in the transfer portal. That's what Manny Navarro of The Athletic stated. We'll see what happens moving forward. I think Miami wants him to play this season because they don't know they're uncertain about the Air King's injury moving forward. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but ultimately,
it's a bad injury to have in December, and
right.
You got to start playing in August.
Right. Stu. All right. So Miami adds cornerback Tyreek Stevenson from the transfer portal, coming formerly from the University of Georgia. Big body, 6'2", over 200 pounds. Played primarily at the nickel this past season. I think he's going to be a great player coming in from Miami. We need bodies at the cornerback position. He should be a game 1 starter. How do you feel about Tyreek Stevenson coming in? Because pass coverage was awful at times.
Yeah, I think him coming in, T-Rod coming in to coach secondary. Look, that's probably a bump up. No disrespect to Mike Rumpf. He was my guy in NCAA 04, 05, It's good. It's good. But I think there's a plus and a negative to this that, hey, look, we're starting to see Manny Diaz is saying, like, hey, Miami's transfer you. Like, going out, hey, Oklahoma transfers, UCLA transfers, Georgia. I don't like the message that necessarily sends. Are we going to keep riding the transfer portal? That's more of a long-term thing. Short-term, if we're just talking about Tyreek, great addition. It's going to help out the secondary immensely, I think. He's a guy that, from my time watching Bulldogs football, those guys get after it. They fly around, and they're smart ball players.
I think the transfer portal, like Miami was kind of in an emergency situation. They needed a veteran cornerback presence moving forward. Personnel-wise, you can't go into next year with the guys you have. We had 0 cornerbacks committed in the class of 2021. Bringing it was a true freshman corner is not really going to help the situation, especially when you have 0 in the early signing day period. You're going to have to go after Tavares Dawson, former Auburn commit, out of Fort Myers, for example. You're going to have to make a late push, and there's other SEC schools after him as well. So I think when you get a local kid from Miami, has a ton of experience at the SEC level, I think it's a great addition. And I think the transfer portal works well, for emergency situations. Miami also needed someone at defensive end as an edge rusher. They bring in DeAndre Johnson. Once again, another player who's had some success in the SEC. Bring in a great player in Charleston Rambo. You need a wide receiver coming from a strong, heavy offense in the Power 5 level in the Big 12. You bring him in at wide receiver. I think it's a good option, a route to go to if you're in that fight or flight mode.
I'm not disagreeing that all those guys are good additions to the team, and they're all going to start, just like the crew he brought in last year, all going to start. But after a while, it sends a bad message. How many transfers are you taking? How much, look at my team. My team up in East Lansing. We are going to take 12 transfers this year.
Right.
12 to 15, maybe. I've heard as high as 15. It's because we're in a complete rebuild.
How do you, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
No, we're in a complete rebuild, and
right.
You start sending the message that, hey, I can't recruit it well enough, and we need help from outside guys. Like, eventually, maybe there's a year you don't get the guys you really want. Maybe they transfer somewhere else. The game is moving towards open borders.
Right. How do you feel about that matchup with Miami and Michigan State going into Game 3? I've had a lot of people in the comments section stating Michigan State is not a good football team. I
They're
tell
not.
them, I get that, but they have a good coach, and they will not stop playing until the game is over. They're going to show up every single game. They beat a good Northwestern football team this past season.
Yeah, I mean,
They beat a good Northwestern football team.
their 2 wins were over top 25 teams at the time.
But they
Top
don't give
15.
up on games. They don't just quit. They keep going till the game's over.
Well, here's the thing about Michigan State. Who knows what they're going to be next year?
Right, exactly.
They're overhaul. So out of their 22 starters, I think they're going to have 12 new ones. New quarterback, new running back, new left tackle, new wideouts, new DNs, new corners. Oh yeah, they're going all over. So it's a new team. Who knows? Like I don't think you can say one way or the other. I would, and this is also. I mean, Mel Tucker didn't install his offense really at all last year. They beat Michigan running the same 5 plays in a row. Just go back, watch the tape. Just same 5 plays, and that's
Lombardi's your quarterback. I mean, there's not much you can do.
No, that's why he's at Northern Illinois.
I'm pretty convinced because of his last name, he got like a bump in the 247 rankings.
Wow. Well, I mean, rankings only matter to a certain extent, and schools inflate rankings and all that nonsense. I don't really give much care about that, but he's at Northern Illinois, and that's probably about the right level for Rocky Lombardi as a quarterback.
So you ultimately think the Miami-Michigan State game is, on the way you're viewing, is kind of up in the air. Michigan State.
I'll tell you what I think about it the week of the game, because I haven't. Nobody knows what this team is going to look like. Look,
right.
Got Wake Forest.
I think they're going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a lot more talented. That's my hope. And I don't know what his offense is. I mean, he gave a very vanilla, let's get through the season and let's just glorified practice type thing.
Right. How do you think Miami will look into, next season? You think they'll take care of just the average opponents you're supposed to beat, the Virginias, the Pittsburghs, the Virginia Techs per se, that you're favored in the game, the NC States? Do you think they'll win those games? And then when you play the North Carolinas, the Alabamas, it'll kind of show a difference? Or do you think maybe we can beat North Carolina this year?
I think this team right now is almost like you look at the schedule and you've got 7 automatic wins. That's what I would say. I'd say 2 or 3 just don't play stupid. You'll get the victory.
Right.
And I think there's maybe 1 or 2 that you're not going to win. My concern with that is that we're building a program now that is, perennially 8-9 wins, and that's cool. That's cool for Manny, 3rd year. Now there's an expectation we're 8-9 wins. We're contending for the division championship. I think that's a good foundation. I just don't want to see it plateau. Can't plateau. You want look at Ann Arbor, plateaued. 8-9 wins becomes good. It becomes a standard. And it can't become that, right? And I think getting to the ACC championship needs to be the standard, right? But
it should be really easy. We just don't get into it every year. So,
and on paper, that should be that. I bet that really grinds some gears in Coral Gables.
I mean, it's pretty. I just don't understand. Someone said the Pac-12, was it West, or I don't know, their divisions in the Pac-12 was weaker. Am I right on the Pac-12 West?
The entire Pac-12 is weaker. Although USC is doing some interesting things.
Oh man,
USC is doing some interesting
things.
Too
out west for me to follow,
especially recruiting wise. They're getting They're getting top 10 kids. They're getting some big players out there.
You give North Carolina too much credit. I have to give credit to opponents that literally ran us apart this past season. I have to give them credit. I have to give credit to a very good quarterback in Sam Howell and a national title coach in Mac Brown. I have to give credit to North Carolina. They literally dominated us this past season. I have to be humble, pay my respects to North Carolina. Sorry, that's just the facts.
North Carolina wasn't a thing a few years ago, and now it is. And
they've done a tremendous job. I tip my hat off to what Mac Brown has done in 2 years.
And the fact that they almost beat a fully stocked Texas A&M team and probably should have won that game is pretty impressive. It's a lot better than what I thought they were.
Right.
He's building something there. Mac Brown's building something.
Outstanding job. Mac Brown, what he's done at that
recruiting well.
In 2 years, Stu, he's competing with Texas A&M at the Orange Bowl. Tip my hat off to that man. That's the national title coach with Vince Young in Texas. Hell of a job.
Well, that was another lifetime, but I'll say that I like that offense. They prioritize the run, and it allows Sam Howell to, he's a play action pass kind of guy.
He's a great quarterback. Oh my gosh, he's
hit and miss. He's hit and miss to me. He's like a damn statue in the pocket.
Look, he doesn't have great pocket presence.
You think?
He doesn't have great.
The guy needs a damn Facebook request just to throw the ball to a wideout. I still harbor the grudge of him not covering against.
Dude,
Boston
do you think
College.
Texas A&M was a great team this year?
I thought they were a really good team. I wouldn't say great.
Right. No, I thought they were a very good team. Jimbo Fisher's a great coach as well.
I've never been high on Kellen Mond. This was the season, like Texas A&M. People forget that they had 5 or 6 starters opt out. James Osborne out. I wonder what that team would have been. I wonder what that Alabama game could have been. I'm not the world's biggest fan of Jimbo's play calling.
Yeah.
He likes to slow it down when they get up.
Okay.
Isaiah Spiller was amazing this year. That defense was deadly all season. North Carolina gashed them up. I think Texas A&M, though, the way they're recruiting, the way they're building. A great
job in Miami. They got 2 great players with
That's
the Daniels. They're doing a great. James Coley, their wide receivers coach, he was a part of Florida State when Jimbo Fisher was there. He's a great recruiter. He was the OC at Miami, OC at Georgia. Jimbo Fisher is doing a great job at Texas A&M in the South Florida area.
I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M makes it to the SEC championship, to be honest. Okay,
that'll be interesting. We'll see what happens moving forward. With Texas A&M in the SEC. I thought it was a bold move to begin with. I thought they should have stayed in the Big 12.
There's no money in it.
True, very true. Stu, speaking of SEC, Tennessee, they just got rid of Jeremy Pruitt. I remember you called me and said, hey, I think Tennessee is pushing out Jeremy Pruitt. They're going to try to find something on him, whether it's about recruiting violations to push him out. Well, it's been done. Kevin Steele is their interim head coach. What do you think about this move?
Yeah, I mean, they gaslighted him. God, that was something. Earlier in the season, a friend was telling me he was on a phone call with Philip Fulmer, the former AD, and he basically said, hey, Jeremy Pruitt is absolutely not getting fired this year. And then you start hearing the boosters. And then anytime you start hearing like the smoke during the season, hey, is this guy getting fired? Is he leaving? Heard the same thing at Texas. What happens? He gets fired, right? But Tennessee did not want to pay the 12, well, if you include with the assistant coaches, up to $18 million in buyout. So you relief for cause. And they're selling money in a McDonald's bag, which is funny. That didn't happen. So
the McDonald's story wasn't true.
No. Dan Patrick put that out. and from a source. All the Tennessee guys that I know, money in a McDonald's bag is so 1970s, 1980s. It's cheating, it's amateur hour.
There's more modern approaches, more
tons. There's a lot easier ways to get players.
What are some examples you would like to give to people watching that, maybe programs are doing?
All right. Hey, Paul, I want you to come to our school. Hey, your uncle? Yeah, we got a spot for him at the school.
Right.
We can hook him up with a job. What do you say, 140 a year? We could do that. What up, Les? That's how you do it, right? You offer jobs. You can do the old card trick. Hey, you don't have to pay sales tax in the state of Alabama when you sell a car. So if I can sell you a really rundown, raggedy, 2018 Mercedes SLK, it's really run down and ratty. It's got 1,000 miles on it. I'll sell it to you for $100. It's a lemon. Take it. It's legal. It's a legal bill of sale, right? Then there's always third party deals, and you see a ton of it. You do hey, you go to the local church, the local pastor, and you say, hey, I really want to donate to this church, $150K to your church, and hey, why don't you give $100,000 to Paul's family? Give $100,000 to Paul's family, and as a church donation, they really deserve it. Help them out. Right.
So there's more creative ways than a McDonald's.
Tons,
obviously. Yeah.
I'll leave out the school, but the rumor was.
Go ahead.
The rumor was, what they were doing was they would not pay players. They just said, look, we'll take care of you. Mind you, the coach leaves the room. His assistant walks in and says, don't worry, we're not paying. We don't pay up front. We'll pay you in the back. We'll pay you back on the back end, right? And this school, once the kids, they would leave after a year or two. Once the kids left school and declared for the draft, they'd go up to a room with boosters and sign autographs for $100,000. There you go. Back end stuff. There's a lot better ways to cheat.
I'm trying to think of the school.
But going back to Tennessee, they were leaving, from what I understand from the Tennessee beat writers, they were leaving money in envelopes at hotel desks. Sloppy.
Tennessee is in a tough situation. They're in the toughest conference in college football. Their division isn't that tough, but it's still, compared to other divisions, it's one of the hardest ones. You have Georgia, Florida as the top dogs there, unless I'm missing the school I can't think of right now. It's not an easy job. Philip Fulmer was the last coach to probably have success. Lane Kiffin jumped ship
after a year to go to SC. And what you can pinpoint that moment in Tennessee to their downfall, because then Derek Dooley comes in, and Derek Dooley was an abject failure, shouldn't have been hired for the job. And this is where their problem is now, right? I thought Kevin Steele, you just keep him there for a year or two. You figure out what the heck your move's going to make, because guess what? They're imposing penalties. You're not going to bowl games. You're going to lose scholarships. We saw that happen. They said a whole bunch of level 1 violations, and that's not good. That's real bad. That's real bad. That's Penn State territory, right? When you start taking that stuff away, they already weren't recruiting great, and it's going to even hamper. Whoever goes into that job is going to be behind the 8 ball, 3 to 5 wins a year. You're not making a bowl game. Even if you did win 6 games, you're going to struggle. And so you have something free, clear, clean, everything's on above board for the next guy to come in. But, I didn't think they were going to jump and make a great hire like they did with Derek White from UCF. I mean, he's a business guy,
Danny
White. Excuse me. He's a business guy, and he gets after it. He's a money guy.
Danny White hired Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic before he was at UCF.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Lane Kiffin can go back to Tennessee?
Of course he could.
Do you think they're
Paul Feinbaum and a lot of Vols fans are kind of pulling for that. But look, I love Lane. I'm on the Lane train all the time. But
yeah, but you know what?
He is sketch.
You can't have success.
He is sketch.
You go 1 year here, then you go 3 years there. Then I'll jump again. You got to build something. It's stability.
It's the whole UT alum thing. But I agree with you. I think it's a horrible move. What he's building at Ole Miss could be really viable. Ole Miss gets some really great prospects. They get some very talented players. If he could ever figure out defense, look out.
Yeah.
But Tennessee, I've heard James Franklin possibly. I've heard Josh Heupel possibly. I've heard a lot of names, but I think what's funny is hiring an outside consulting firm, you're not going to hear anything. It's all conjecture. People who say they know don't know. I dealt with this in the whole Auburn head coaching search that I was on this show talking about. The coaching search firm is going to get their guy. And Harson's was never a guy that I even heard on my radar. He wasn't on the list. He was on their list, not on anybody else's. So it's just one of those things where I think we'll get a coach this week, possibly. God bless him. He's going to need it. That's a horrible spot to step in. But they have shown that they want to spend money, and they'll pull out the checkbook. I think a guy like James Franklin makes a ton of sense. I know him and Penn State aren't getting along.
I think Bill O'Brien would be a great hire.
There was rumors he approached.
I think that would be a great hire. He's already dealt with all that BS in Penn State that he had to go through. He's been a head coach in the NFL. Tennessee is a dumpster fire. I'm sorry. You have a great stadium that they fill out. I've never been in Knoxville, Tennessee, so I can't have an opinion on their little college town. But you're in a great area in Tennessee. You're next to the Carolinas. You're in the South. There's a lot of great recruiting there. You're up against a lot of competition, though. That's another key. So it's a tough job. And I think Bill O'Brien could be the guy. I also think Greg Schiano would kill it. But, hey, they already hired him, and then it backfired. So,
well, they fired him immediately after.
They hired and fired him in the same day.
Yeah. But, no, Greg Schiano works because he gets it. He gutted Rutgers. And Rutgers is actually,
to
decent.
Win at Rutgers, to be successful at Rutgers is
tough.
It's like to sell a recruit. He recruited in South Florida, in Miami. I remember going through I-95, and there was a billboard of Rutgers football over Overtown going to the beach. Literally, he was doing a great job in Miami, in South Florida, to get kids to Piscataway, New Jersey.
Yeah, I think Greg Schiano's got a great mind for college football. But whatever Tennessee does, it's going to be some hard times ahead.
Stu, talk about SEC mentality, spending money under the table for coaches. That's what when I think of SEC mentality is utilizing the resources to bring in the guys you want.
Cheat.
Aggressiveness. Cheating until you – I mean, it's not cheating if you don't get caught, right?
I mean, cheating's cheat. When we were going back and forth on this, I thought it was such a lazy take you had because it's
Well, go back on the take I had on the SEC mentality. You have people literally taking money to play in the SEC. They are breaking the rules per se. They just haven't been caught at those programs. or those programs weren't in. They didn't get fined or whatever you want to call it, suspended. Their hands are not tied in the SEC. Certain programs. You just
Hey,
talk.
look, I don't think Pete Carroll's hands were tied at USC. Michigan's hands weren't tied with the Fab Five. Miami wasn't tied up in the 80s. I mean, we all seen the 30 for 30.
They just got hit hard with violations. Was it Sports Illustrated wanted to put the death penalty on Miami, make us the Pony Express 2.0.
No.
The Fab Five is the most overrated starting five I've ever heard in my life. I won't get into that. I'm not going to get into that subject. They never won a national title, never even smelled a national title. I don't know what was Chris Webber's timeout. Was it against UNC? Refresh my memory. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of I just don't think they were that good. Moving forward. Listen.
But all big
scandals. The SEC has changed college football is where I'm going.
I don't know that I don't think you can give it all to the SEC, but the SEC mentality is to take football seriously. It's a business. That's what it is.
Breaking the rules. Do you agree they break the rules more than any other conference as a whole?
No, because I think all schools break the rules.
Right. But I think they do it a little bit more. A lot more.
There's always whispers, right? There's always whispers. Like Cam Newton got paid $250,000 to go play at Auburn, right? How much money did he take to go to Florida in the first place, right? I mean, there's all these things that like pop up in instances, and there is big money down there. There's a lot of people. You know how much it costs to become an Alabama booster? It's an insane amount of money. I get it. I do get it. But, I can tell you stories of kids in the Big Ten who, because they couldn't get a personal chef, decided not to go somewhere and went somewhere else.
I'm sure. No, I completely get it. I just think bad schools like Ole Miss, for example, because they're not good at football. I mean, they're really not. History-wise, they have some trending upward. I think Ole Miss, for example, is a program that plays 500 football in the SEC as their conference record, and they bend the rules. For example, take a 500 team in the ACC, Virginia. I think Virginia, Pittsburgh. I think the North Carolina States, Duke. I don't think they're bending the rules. They're not even trying to. They're not even going to pay maybe now basketball. Okay, that's a different subject. We're talking college football.
You're equating. So every team, including mine, bends rules.
Okay, but
and has infractions.
Paying players is different.
Paying players. Some schools have a booster network that will pay players.
Right.
Some schools don't. Right.
In the SEC, how many schools have that network, you think? Over, under 8, something like that.
Over 8. In terms of like a booster network that could like really do it. Yeah, over 8.
Over 8. I think take away the like UNC, Miami, or Alabama. I think no other school is even thinking about that. Maybe Louisville.
A lot of people do this, man. Everybody cheats to some degree. The SEC mentality is not to cheat. They didn't invent paying players. They didn't invent all these side little deals.
100%.
The SEC mentality is they take this stuff seriously.
Yeah.
In a way that, no offense to all the great Canes fans out there, I haven't seen it taken seriously in years.
Miami.
I don't think the school has.
Miami.
I don't think the school has.
I wholeheartedly agree. I don't think
the
Miami
fans do.
Seriously. The fans.
If we let the fans run the athletic department, we'd be, cooking with peanut oil. The school doesn't take it seriously. Duke doesn't take football seriously. They take basketball seriously, but, there's Coach K runs that, and there's whispers, right?
There's more than
that. I agree with you.
Roy Williams at UNC does it. NC State.
Dollar. Bill Self's middle name is Dollar. I mean, come on now. There's places where they take sports, whether it be basketball or football, seriously, and they put money behind it, and that's either in the SEC, that could be at USC, that could be at UCLA. Hey, sometimes teams just suck
I
at
don't
cheating.
know. I don't think UCLA even. I don't even think they have the
There's
fan.
a ton of money there. There's a ton
I don't
of
think they have-
agents, ton of people.
UCLA
running around.
football has trended completely downward. They don't even have a fan base.
Yeah, we're a ways away from Cade McNown days, but
John Elway, was it?
when you're in LA, when you're in like
Did he go to
prime
Stanford?
time,
Did Elway go to Stanford or UCLA?
yeah, Stanford.
Okay. Never mind.
Cade McNown was a UCLA guy.
I don't know.
Wasn't Troy Aikman a UCLA guy?
Yeah, that's who I was. Troy Aikman. Thank you. I knew they had a star quarterback.
But, Big Ten does it. The school has to take the sport seriously. Bottom line. That's the SEC mentality. Killers. Straight killers.
Yeah, exactly. Aggressiveness. Okay, we lose our OC to Texas. I want an NFL OC. I want an ex-NFL head coach. Adam Gase, Bill O'Brien. I'll call Phil Longo because what he did at UNC was amazing. You know what? Let's go contact Tony. Let's go contact Joe Brady, and let's just throw money until he can't say no anymore.
That's the SEC mentality.
And then he gets a bunch of head coaching interviews. That's SEC mentality. Yes, I agree. And I just think they also do it under the table a lot. Like you said, through churches, through their favorite pastor. Oh, please donate. Please give a.
Sure, if you want to wrap that in, but that's all a part of taking the game seriously, right?
Right.
That's taking the game serious.
Yeah, fair.
And you just don't get caught. You can't be stupid, right?
Right.
And the NCAA doesn't really. If you think the NCAA really cares,
They don't care.
Will Wade is sitting at LSU right now, and they got tapes of him on documentaries begging guys to come play, and he'll pay him and whatever with Dawkins, right? Christian Dawkins.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows what's going on at some schools.
Right.
Everybody knew what was happening at USC. Word was out, right? That's why Pete just so happened to take a job with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So it's all funny to me. Like the SEC mentality, they're killers, man. Be a killer.
Stu, before we wrap it up, anything else you want to add?
Man, go Army, beat Navy. Tomorrow, I got a great show dropping 3-man weave. If you're a college basketball fan, these guys are absolute geniuses when it comes to it. Jim Root of 3-man weave, he's dropping in. And we're going to also talk some Lions football. Matt Stafford's out. We hired Anthony Lynn.
Dan Campbell, you're going to talk about Dan Campbell,
the dude. We got a new – yeah, well –
So, like,
that's a little
chewing kneecaps, is that going to be a thing during the year, like biting the other team's kneecaps?
I don't know what that was. That sounded like Macho Man promo for Royal Rumble or something.
We don't need, like, a Mike Tyson situation in the NFL or, like.
We don't. But, yeah, we're going to talk that up with a friend from the Lions Radio Network. And,
okay. Yeah,
that's going to be the week. That's what I got cooking. Yeah, last thoughts. I mean, mentality. I still don't know where you get this stuff from.
Get what? That the SEC pays players more and is more aggressive in that aspect and utilizes their resources compared to other conferences.
How do you know? How do you tell?
It's everywhere, Laramie.
It's everywhere.
Although Beckham Jr. just throwing cash at players after they win the national title.
Is that what we're going with?
I mean, they don't even get – it's literally right in front of the camera, and nothing is done. Alabama.
Nobody cares.
Lane Kiffin, you even told me. Listen, Lane Kiffin, runs a dirty program.
Yeah, he does.
Miami will never hire Lane Kiffin because he has baggage. Other programs, other ADs will not hire Lane Kiffin because he has baggage.
Lane Kiffin has an offense that'll throw for 450 and run for 125 a game. I'm like, okay, don't hire that.
You know what? I'm not on the Lane train because he doesn't show stability. He's never proven me anything.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Time with the Raiders, kicking 70-yard field goals at University of Southern California. He won, the Conference USA at Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton? I mean, listen, I'm not impressed. But yeah, show me something. Show me something.
Florida Atlantic, man, what a team in Conference USA, though. It's no Mac. But look, you gotta get past this. Like this whole the SEC does it and it's not fair. Like start paying players. Like I want my team to cheat. I want my school to pay players.
Stu, let's become boosters at Miami. Let's start paying players.
Do it. Cheat. Just be successful.
No. Hey,
bring back the 80s.
Bring back. I know, right? College Miami. Like I told you, Alabama ruined college football. Miami made it better.
Alabama did.
Alabama is the corniest football program out there. Is the corniest football program. Yes, they had the most national titles. They are the Yankees of college football. But Miami made it better, Stu. And you were a Miami fan because of Miami.
I enjoy watching Miami.
There you go.
But
Miami
Alabama is what they've done is single-handedly pull college football to a whole new era. You can say they messed it up. But what did they mess up? If it wasn't Alabama, it was going to be somebody else, right?
I've never seen it like this for quite a while. Just 2 or 3 teams.
What?
Alabama and Clemson and everyone else. And all the coaches are under Nick Saban's staff. It's like a farm system. It just goes around and round.
Yeah. He's best friends with Bill Belichick. They're the same team. They're the same guy.
Why are all the recruits going to Tuscaloosa to play? What is in Tuscaloosa? What is in Clemson, South Carolina, Stu?
You get to play for the greatest college football coach of all time. You're going to be prime time every game. You're going to have the best coaches, best facilities, and you're going to be playing for the best team. So you get a ring even if you don't go to the NFL.
And then you get a $50K plus salary and a very nice Alfa Romeo, maybe a BMW 7 Series. Got to love it.
They don't pay kids that much.
Well, I mean, we'll see. There may be a new 30 for 30 about the post Nick Saban era. I still remember Mike Shula, by the way. I still remember that time. Stu, once again, man, thank you for coming on. Got the Maction shirt. Anything else you want to say to the great people watching this show?
I'm going to drop kick you when I see you in a few weeks.
Gotta love it,
Let's
man.
run it back next week. Thank you to everybody that watched tonight, and I'm really looking forward to the next argument we can get in, Paul.
Hey, Stu has Michigan State winning by 2 touchdowns in Miami Gardens. Remember that, guys. Always. All about the Go Canes.
Go Green.